often I see people on this program and others talking out of both sides of their mouth, saying Joe Burrow has the best 1-2 punch at receiver in the entire NFL. What a group of weapons. But oh my God, that defense. He is so put upon. You can't really have it both ways there. This was a decision that they made as a franchise. And yes, it is incumbent upon the team to do a better job of drafting and developing, no doubt. But the offense is stacked. That is not an excuse. Unfortunately, and I think I share Chris's concern here too, I do worry about the pressure to put up points leading to passing more on third and longs, taking more sacks, more pressure behind that offensive line. And that could be difficult for them to play a more balanced brand of offensive football because of it. But as far as Joe Burrow goes, he did get what he wanted here, which was the two great wide receivers.
Can't blame him for that. All right, looking at the AFC North a little bit. So we know the Ravens are the favorites to win the division, and I know how closely you follow this division. And Joe Flacco will be the starting quarterback for the Browns. So tell me this, which team do you have more questions about right now? Is it the Steelers or is it the Bengals?
Well, after that segment, how could it not be the Bengals? You know, I thought when Chris talked about the Bengals being a one-dimensional team, and when Mina mentioned red alert, there's reason. And I think for me, the bigger questions arise with the Bengals because I see that this is a team that could win a Super Bowl. They're that talented. When I look at the Steelers, I think I look at this as expectations. Like, I don't have the Steelers, to me, can be very good or they can be mediocre. When I look at the Bengals, I expect them to improve upon last year, which is get into the playoffs and be scary based off of the quarterback that they have. So I think the questions, again, with Trey Hendrickson, we've talked about this ad nauseum. What is his status? Will he be there week one? And will this defense, it's going to be a liability, but will it be less of a liability than last year? I think that remains to be seen.
I think it's the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it ain't that close. It's because I don't believe in the quarterback. I just don't. They've pinned the regression of Aaron Rodgers on injuries that he suffered over the last 3 years. Whether it's injuries or whether it's age, it doesn't really matter. And here's the thing, as players get older, they don't get healthier. So I don't understand why everybody is falling into the hoax that is Aaron Rodgers year over year. We saw with the New York Jets, they were better off without him than they were with him. With the combination of Trevor Siemian, Tim Boyle, and Zach Wilson, they won 2 more games than when Aaron Rodgers started all 17 in 2024. You're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers being bottom 10 in the league when sacks allowed from last season. And, oh, by the way, they lost a 1,000-yard rusher in Najee Harris in free agency, a guy that's gone over 1,200 yards from scrimmage each of the first 4 years of his career. So when it comes to the Rodgers of it all, I struggle to see how he is going to raise the floor from what we've seen from the Pittsburgh Steelers over the last half decade. Having experience don't mean a damn thing if you physically can't go out there and do the job. And that's what I'm concerned about with Aaron Rodgers for 17 games in the regular season.
Okay, Mina, before you answer that question about the Bengals or the Steelers, obviously Canty shocking with a hot take, but do you also feel like the party's over for Aaron Rodgers and we're buying the hype that this resurgence can come with the Steelers team and the marriage of him and Mike Tomlin?
Well, he was a bottom 5 quarterback last year statistically, and I know folks say, did you watch him at the end of the season? I did watch him, and I believe he was a below average quarterback. And to Chris's point, I do agree. I don't see that getting better with age. I keep seeing people pull like Aaron Rodgers' career numbers. I'm sorry. You can't talk about NFL players that way at that age. Like, his numbers in before 2020 are simply not pertinent to the player that we see right now. The premise for the Steelers, in my mind, is not based on Aaron Rodgers having a resurgence or being a savior. It's him being average and giving them competent point guard style quarterback play with a good run game. I am not worried about the loss of Najee Harris that Chris alluded to. I like the player that they drafted this year, Caleb Johnson. But this run game has to be quite good behind offensive line with questions at tackle for me to feel good about this offense. And I also have questions about the defense, by the way. They have a giant Baltimore Ravens problem, in case anyone who missed last season. That has to get better as well. So I think there's more questions about the Steelers, because with the Bengals, I don't have any questions. I know the offense is great and the defense is terrible.
So I guess what it brings to my mind, again, is the floor and the ceiling of these two teams. It sounds like Christopher is very clear. Steelers are not going to be good. They're going to suck. That's clearly what he's trying to tell America. But when you look at the Bengals, again, do you see them being a legit foil for the Ravens, given the questions that they have on defense? Do you see them being a team that you definitely believe can go to Buffalo and beat Josh Allen, given the fact that Joe Burrow is trying to play without one unit actually helping him? I think, again, it's the floor to the ceiling. That's why, to me, it's like, who are the Bengals going to be? You think, Christopher, that they're going to start faster. I would damn sure hope so. But will they? I don't.
That is the lowest of bars to clear, though.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing.
What is your ceiling for the Bengals? With this great offense and terrible defense that we're all speaking of.
You know what? I am so confident in Joe Burrow. Like, this is a team, I expect them I could see them being in the AFC Championship game.
Wow.
I could see it because of the QB. But again, the questions are mounting. That's the problem, because I think that's the ceiling for them.
Wow, the ceiling is the roof.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. But I think that's my point. Like, I could easily see them going to the AFC Championship game, except everything has to kind of fall into place.
Mina, that was aggressive there. We got AFC Championship game. You buying that?
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible in the playoffs. This team could beat a lot of teams 42-41. But I look at the AFC, I think that the Bills and Ravens and Chiefs are clearly a cut above when you look at the complete roster. And those teams have quarterbacks who are just as good.
Yeah, I think the Bengals have a greater degree of variance because they have a higher ceiling. But I also believe the Bengals have a higher floor than the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, we could be talking about the Steelers being in the territory of having the first losing season in the Mike Tomlin era, the first losing season that they've had in his 18 years of being the head coach.
We shall see. We'll leave it there. When we come back, some other teams we need to get into, like the Lions, who tore through the competition in the NFC North last season. So coming into this season, how much of a gap is there between Detroit and the rest of the division? Hot debate is on the way. The college football season will have a banger to guess for you. Let's keep the fun rolling, because it is a huge day here at ESPN as we launch our new direct-to-consumer service. Earlier this morning, the chairman of ESPN, our boss, Jimmy Pitaro, kicked off the festivities by ringing the bell at the New York Stock Exchange with Cowboys legend Troy Aikman, along with senior staff Burke Magnus. The new service will give subscribers access to ESPN's full suite of 12 networks and services directly to fans for the first time ever. And there's a lot of major upgrades there on the app as well. Integrated game stats, betting, and fantasy information. So make sure that you get that ASAP, sports fans. All right, let's dive in more to the NFL here. The Lions look to repeat last year's success in the NFC as they are one of the favorites to win the conference, right behind the Eagles. Quarterback Jared Goff had a career-high 37 touchdowns last season, also finished second in the NFL in passing yards. RC got a chance to sit down with two key pieces on Goff's offense. Take a listen to what David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs had to say about the leader of their squad.
JG a dog. He a great quarterback. You know what I'm saying? And I think for him, understand it, it's kind of like similar to me, I think. He don't get enough credit, or people don't like talk about him enough, or he not good enough. So like that fuel him so much, like to not even to prove everybody wrong, but to prove himself right. You know what I'm saying? And I see that out of him all the time. I respect him.
Yeah, JG a dog, man. Like he is everything to his team. Like without him, I don't know where would we be at. But yeah, like he was saying, like he don't get enough credit. Like they be saying like the weapons around him, like he got to throw the ball. Like what you mean?
I love that. Not proving everybody wrong, but just proving yourself right. Canty, what'd you think of that sound?
Yeah, bank full of respect for Jared Goff. He was jettisoned from the LA Rams, and they sent him to an outpost as far as the NFL is concerned in the Detroit Lions, and all he did was get that franchise turned around and get him to a Final Four. So, I mean, that's impressive to me to see what Jared Goff has been able to do, being a part of Dan Campbell, shifting the culture in Detroit and winning the division in back-to-back years, and now talking about this team as a serious title contender. That said, Jared Goff is going to have to do more this upcoming season, because we are talking about Ben Johnson, their offensive coordinator, moving on. We are talking about Frank Ragnow retiring and Tate Ratledge stepping in and being the center. Ragnow was a huge presence in that Lions locker room, so Jared Goff on the field and in the locker room is absolutely going to have to do more if the Detroit Lions are going to realize their goals of being able to hold up a Lombardi trophy.
I'll come to you here, Kimberly. Obviously.
I'm sorry, I'm still...
Oh, go ahead, Mina. You're good. Go ahead. React to it.
Oh, no. Sorry, I'm still laughing at Chris saying that Jared Goff was sent to an outpost like the Lions, like he was sent to the Great Wall in the north and banished from the kingdom. Otherwise, though, Chris, I'm really in agreement with you about there being pressure on Goff this season. And I want to start by saying Jared Goff, to me, has improved so much as a quarterback over the years. He does things now in this league in terms of making throws under pressure, stepping up in the pocket, that I really don't believe he was capable of early. Even when the Rams offense was as successful as it was, he was a lesser quarterback on the team that went to the Super Bowl than he is now. Quarterback development is not always linear. This is a topic we talk about a lot. Obviously, it's come up with Anthony Richardson. Sometimes players do get better over time. All of that said, Chris is absolutely right. There's a ton of pressure on him because the expectations for this team are so great. They are perceived to be the favorite in the division. And he did lose the offensive coordinator. The interior of the offensive line is in flux. I think that is what concerns me the most, maybe even as much as the coordinator, just because Jared, as much as he has gotten better at throwing under pressure, it is still not a strength of his. This offensive line has been the rock on this team, and it's being shaken a little bit, but I just think he's improved so much that I have confidence in his ability to continue leading this offense well.
I want to stay with that subject of pressure. And Kimberly, obviously, you alluded to it, Canty. A lot was made about Goff losing his OC and Ben Johnson. Caleb Williams obviously has a new head coach. So which quarterback do you think has more pressure? Is it Goff or is it Caleb Williams?
The answer is Caleb Williams. But I agree that the pressure's ratcheted up this year on Jared Goff, even though they knew that Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson were going to get head coaching jobs. It's been since June that Ragnow retired. So they knew that things were coming down the pike, and they've sort of prepared for it. They had over 20 guys on injured reserve last year. They're getting all those guys back. But when I think about as much as Jared Goff has to do more, especially a team that, again, this should be a Super Bowl contending team, so you expect him to play well. He's got to elevate his play. Ben Johnson is the reason the pressure, to me, is bigger for Caleb Williams, because Ben Johnson was the head coach that could not miss. Ben Johnson was the guy who everybody wanted, and he said, I want to go to Chicago because this guy here, I can build a quarterback that could be one of the best in the NFL. I think with Caleb, unfortunately, the organization that he's in, the years that they've spent trying to get the quarterback position right, the decades that Chicago hasn't gotten the quarterback position right, and the fact that he was touted as he was top pick. Everybody's looking at him like, oh, this guy is special. And what we saw in the first year was he's struggling to do the just basics. And now he has actual legit coaching where we are stripping you down to the studs and we're going to build you back up. Ben Johnson is a guy who is all about detail, and you need to do the basics right so then we can add on to that. So I think everything, the way they've built this offense, the way they've bolstered this team, Caleb has weapons. He has the coach. If you thought coaching was the issue last year, you can't say coaching is the issue now. So I think right now it's going to be Caleb.
Mina, do you agree that it's Caleb Williams with more pressure than Jared Goff?
No, it's Goff to me. I think the idea that Caleb is under more pressure is predicated on a false premise, which is that the expectations of him have to be an immediate, massive leap. And I don't think that's right. I mean, yes, Ben Johnson, brilliant offensive play caller, love the hire for the Bears. They rebuilt the offensive line. You added players, but Colson Loveland is a rookie. The offensive line is changing completely on the inside, and Ben Johnson has never been a head coach before. So the idea that Caleb suddenly has to take this big leap at the beginning of the season, as everybody, not just him, everybody is learning an entirely new offense, I just object to that. I think the Bears offense is going to look better at the end of the year than they do at the beginning, and that's just fine. I think people need to pump the brakes on thinking that Caleb has to be so much better so quickly this year, whereas Jared Goff, those expectations are deserved and real. The Lions should win this division. There's constantly, and you hear it there with Jahmyr Gibbs, they're defensive in Detroit about their quarterback. They feel that he has been wrongly, branded as this system quarterback and a product of the play caller. Now's your chance. Prove him wrong. And so I think he is under more pressure than Caleb.
You want to break the tie?
Yeah, I'm going to break the tie. I'm going to lean toward K-Bar and say Caleb Williams is going to be under more pressure. And I think a big part of that is the perception of Caleb Williams in comparison to Jaden Daniels. Those two are inextricably linked. We saw Jaden Daniels in his rookie year take his team to the Final Four. And based on what we saw in limited preseason action against the Cincinnati Bengals, that train ain't slowing down no time soon. So Caleb Williams is out of excuses. He caped for Ben Johnson to be his head coach. You got your wish. Also, you got the team in consecutive years to use a top 10 pick on a pass catcher. They paid DJ Moore a ton of money. They rebuilt the offensive line via trades and draft picks and free agency. It's on Caleb Williams to produce. The one thing I will say, though, to Mina's point, Jared Goff has got to capitalize on this window that the Detroit Lions have, because windows don't stay open forever. They won 12 games in 2023, 15 games last year. This team is starting to get older and more expensive. Players are graduating out of the program. Players are going other places and getting their bag, or just flat out retiring. And coaches are leaving this organization and going on to other opportunities. At some point, you have to be able to capitalize on it in the foreseeable future, and he has no excuse as to why that can't be this season.
Now, Christopher's right in agreeing with me that it's Caleb, correct? But I want to go back to what Mina said, because Mina, when you said the expectations for Caleb aren't right, those lofty expectations, you are 100% right, and I 1,000% have been saying this on TV. However, those expectations, the narrative that he's in the best situation, like it may not be right, but that's what is. I think the fact that last year people were looking at Chicago as Caleb Williams is entering the best situation of any rookie quarterback. All of that, as much as it's not fair, as much as the expectation for Caleb should be, hey, December, January, please be playing meaningful football. Please look competent in the offense. Please look like you have a command of this Ben Johnson offense and show signs of that. We should be taking a 10-year view of Caleb Williams. So I agree with Mina. I just don't think that's how things work, unfortunately.
All right, we're leaving it there because we got to get into a little hoops for my girl here, Canty. She may be a rookie, but she's looking like a vet. Fellow Husky alum wings guard Paige Beckers had a remarkable 44-point performance last night against the Los Angeles Sparks. This incredible outing set a new WNBA single-game rookie scoring record. I need to get to a Wings game. Canty, what do you make of this performance?
I mean, Paige Beckers was absolutely balling. Being able to drop 44 points on their head on 80% shooting was absolutely phenomenal. And I think it's a great thing for the WNBA. In back-to-back years, you have stars coming out of the collegiate ranks that are actually performing well day one in their rookie season. I think it's huge in terms of the growth of the sport, to be able to have that star power, to be able to get that year-over-year growth of the overall product. I think it's going to be huge. There is nothing ascending in professional team sports quite like the WNBA, and it's at a good time because the players are negotiating a new collective bargaining agreement. So I just think that this helps to bolster the interest in the overall sport, and hopefully that leads to these ladies being able to get their bag.
100%. I mean, huge congrats to her on the record. So fun to watch. Coming up here on First Take, we're going to college football. The season starts with a bang.